Hey there, true believers. This is Chef Jack with another round of Marvel vs. DC Comics reviews. It's been a while since I've explained the rules on one of these things, so let me do that first. Here's the way it works. My brother Englentine and I have divided up every single comic book that Marvel and DC put out, and we each review our selections. And the ones I review are separate from the ones he reviews, so there are going to be some Marvel and DC comics that you're just not going to see in my videos. We rate these comic books from 1 to 5 stars. Each star is worth 1 point. At the end of the video, we add up the total points accrued, we divide by the number of issues that we have reviewed, and that gives us an average score per issue. The publisher with the highest average score per issue is the winner for the week, and that's it. It's just that simple. So with all that said, let's get down to it. This week, we're taking a look at the following. All New Guardians of the Galaxy number 146. Astonishing X-Men number 4. Avengers number 672. Batman the Dark Prince Charming number 1. Black Lightning Cold Dead Hands number 1. Cyborg number 18. Darth Vader number 6. Deadman number 1. Deathstroke number 25. Green Lanterns number 34. Iron Fist number 73. Jessica Jones number 13. The Jetsons number 1. Justice League number 32. Star Wars Dr. APHRA number 13. Supergirl number 14. Venom number 155. And lastly, X-Men Gold number 13. Believe it or not, I was lucky enough to not get any books that were so bad I had to give them 1 star. The comic books that are awarded 2 stars are bad. They may have 1 or 2 redeeming features that save them from going on the 1-star list, but they're still probably not worth your time reading. Cyborg number 18. This issue marks the end of the most recent story arc, and it's about goddamn time if you ask me, because we've been dealing with this same nonsense for 18 issues now. So yeah, even now in this last issue, the story just keeps going and going and going, way past the point that anybody gave a shit. Supper's writing in this book is completely suspect because rather than using the story to show us what happened, he uses Cyborg's narration to tell us what happened. And, you know, show don't tell is a thing for some pretty good reasons. The art wasn't bad, but then the art's never really been that bad. I just hope that now that this boring-ass story is over, we might actually get some decent Cyborg stories from now on. You know, one can hope after all. The books that get 3 stars aren't all that good, but on the other hand, they're not all that bad either. Sure, go ahead and read them. However, get the 4- and 5-star books first. All New Guardians of the Galaxy number 146. This issue features the reintroduction of the Nova Corps in the post-Marvel Legacy world, and the truth is, it seems a little rushed and haphazardly constructed. Especially when you compare it to the complicated, slow-burning Nighthawk story just a couple of issues ago. There's still the expected level of humor is still there. And the addition of Scott Lang's Ant-Man to the cast really does fit. I mean, he's a good addition. Marcus Toe proves he's extremely versatile as an artist. But in the end, this issue is, utterly inconsequential and perhaps mismatched with the amount of hype that is surrounding this title at the time. Especially, because it's got a big event storyline it's supposed to be tying into. The villain tease at the end of the story, some of the threads set up in this issue, it all can lead to someplace very, very interesting, but we're going to have to, wait for it, because none of that shows up here. Astonishing X-Men number 4. My lord, I wanted to give this issue a higher rating. This was almost a 4-star book, guys. It really was, I swear. It was almost a 4-star book. But in the end, what dragged it down for me was that there was just too much setup in this and not enough party, if you get what I mean. As a writing, Sewell has a ton of pieces moving on the board right now. And this being the 4th issue of a 6-issue arc, every single in-progress subplot gets inched along only by the tiniest little bit. There is no development here. There's no real resolution of anything. And neither are there any really great moments. I mean, the explanation of Xavier's death and return is handled pretty well, but so much time is spent on the setup that the plot suffers. And as a result, this issue just feels overstuffed and the pace suffers for it. And that's why I couldn't give it a 4-star. Avengers 672. The plot of this book goes like this. An asteroid mysteriously appears and is headed toward Earth. The Avengers and the Champions team up to stop it. There's a lot of tension because the Champions are acting like arrogant teenagers. Spoiler alert, they do stop the asteroid. They save the day. And, you know, it's all thanks to some very dubious scientific means that honestly ruined my sense of suspension of disbelief. So, you know, nothing groundbreaking here at all. It does work on some level, I guess, but it's just not spectacular. The characters are written acceptably. There's nothing really to make the reader interested. The art's fine, but again, nothing to write home about. And that's how this entire issue goes. It's okay, it's standard. It's not even slightly above average. Justice League number 32. The Bats Out of Hell story continues, and nothing really that's here can convince me that this story's worth it. This issue's just a bunch of fights strung together to make up an issue. It's you know, the art was pretty good, but that's the best you can say about it. I mean, seriously, Liam Sharp's the only thing that keeps this issue from being disappointing. And amazingly, his artwork is really strong enough to keep this issue from being disappointing. The story itself isn't really a story. It's just a battle royale between the remaining Justice League members and their Dark Universe counterparts. Yawn. I mean, you know, I actually appreciate story in my story. Just one long running gunfight is boring after a while. And this was boring. X-Men Gold number 13. This is actually the first issue in the Mojo Worldwide story. And yeah, I know, I reviewed the second issue in the last review I did. Yes, it's going to happen sometimes, folks. Trust me. I read them in the right order. I just didn't put them in the review in the right order. Sue me. Overall, this issue was fun, but at the same time, it had me stopping to ask, the hell? Way too many times for it to be a really good time. There's also the so many characters you need a program to tell them apart problem, which is exasperated by the fact that Mike Mayhew draws Kitty Pryde, Rachel Gray, and Jean Grey so similarly that they might as well be triplets. I mean, seriously, if they're not in costume, you can't tell which one is which. Overall, this issue really isn't that bad. It's just there were so many small, tiny, niggling, detail-related problems that I couldn't say that it was all that very good. And those things are so easily fixed. This should not be a problem. The books that get 4 stars are the good ones. These are the ones that we recommend. They may have 1 or 2 small problems here or there, but nothing that takes away the enjoyment or the quality of the comic book. Darth Vader number 6. Having established how Darth Vader built his red lightsaber, Charles Soule now tells us the story of the Sith Inquisitors originally seen in Star Wars Rebels. That's the cartoon. If you haven't been watching it, I really recommend it. One of my friends, Freddie Prinze Jr., does a voice there. It's a good. Okay, plug for the cartoon over. Anyway, these guys came to serve Vader in that cartoon, and this is the story of how they did that. The emphasis on the Inquisitors as corrupted former Jedi is especially intriguing. Between that and the story of Vader's saber, you can sense a common theme developing in these stories where, you know, we're going to see a lot of the background built up. The stuff that we already knew, we're going to see it built up, and that's a good thing. But it's the interaction between Vader and Palpatine that makes this story really work. The clear, energetic storyline just eliminates the need for a lot of exposition, and that makes it just a lot sleeker and easier to read and easier to enjoy. Green Lanterns number 34. From what I can see in this issue, Tim Seeley's settling into Green Lanterns really nicely. Already the relationship dynamic between Simon and Jessica is a lot more playful and a lot less depressive. Sam Humphries has begun to get them there, but the title's finally found its sweet spot now. Seeley also has a really good nose for just how long to keep a storyline going. The Work Release story, for example, ended after 2 issues, and that's all it needed. It just needed 2 issues. This story about the Lantern's efforts to get an alien race off of its dying world with the assistance of yet another alien race, it didn't need to be some 6-issue long internal mini-series, and Seeley knew it. Ronan Clicquot keeps showing improvement on his art in addition, so that's just gravy on top of a really great meal. He seems more willing to experiment with the Lantern's constructs, which is a major part of the fun involving this title. And the two creators make for a great combination. This is becoming a really, really great book. Iron Fist 73. Iron Fist might have reverted to its classic numbering, but little else has actually changed with the start of the Marvel legacy. And that's mostly a good thing. Early on, Iron Fist suffered from a lack of depth. Brisson and Perkins wrote pretty straightforward stories of kung fu warriors battling it out, but they were simple stories. Fortunately for us, the fans of the title, the stories have become complex with time, and there's this growing sense of danger in Danny Rand's world, but also a more pronounced sense of humor. This is all a very good thing. Tossing Sabretooth in the mix actually works pretty damn well. Unfortunately, Perkins' choices when it comes to camera angles, if you get what I mean, seem to be a little too exaggerated, and it results in some very strange perspective shots. As such, they take just enough away from the story to keep this from being a 5-star issue. Jessica Jones number 13. Jessica Jones might not have much of a formal rogues gallery, but if she did, the Purple Man would be the Joker to her Batman. It is impossible not to get excited for the direction of the series as he begins to make his big return. Unfortunately, this issue is just as slow-moving as the other 12 have been. And the prolonged conversation between Jessica and Carol Danvers is especially tedious. But even so, this issue does an excellent job at highlighting the absolute terror, the terror and the rage that Jessica and Luke feel at learning that the Purple Man might actually be wandering around and might be getting back into their lives. When reading this issue, pay special attention to what Michael Gaydos does with the visuals in the opening pages. He does this fantastic job of giving a visual form to Jessica's inner turmoil and her paranoia about the fact that anybody, anywhere, could be an agent of the Purple Man. It's just great stuff, guys. Star Wars, Dr. APHRA number 13. This was a fun issue, and it had just the right amount of action and drama and characterization in it. The art was looser without losing the look, the characteristic look that the series has had all along. And it's all for the good. There was one small problem, though. Have you ever watched a TV series and you've reached the season finale and you realize the writers and the producers have set this particular season finale to potentially be the finale for the entire show, just in case the network canceled it over the summer? Well, that's what this issue feels like. It's like Gillen and Walker have, they have this issue, which ends the current story arc, and they're going to work with it, and it does work as the end of the story arc, but it also works as the end of the entire series. Gillen has set up a new status quo for all of the characters, every single one of the characters. I mean, APHRA herself is in now a peaceful, safe place in a chaotic, dangerous galaxy where she doesn't have to worry about anything anymore. And that's all fine and good, but since Marvel decided, no, they're actually going to keep this series going, where does this go from here? Where does it go from here? I guess we'll be seeing, huh? Venom number 155. This issue centers on Eddie Brock, and he's finally realizing something that has been bugging me about the Venom title since issue 150. This title has absolutely no status quo anymore. Venom's been highly reactive, don't get me wrong, he's been highly reactive, but he's been thrown from one crazy situation to another without any hint of a greater plan on the part of the creators. And while it certainly does ring true to Eddie Brock's character that he'd prioritize, I don't know, murdering street criminals to getting a day job, it's nice to see him finally realize it and try to address it, head on. Seeing him apply for a job as a tabloid reporter, and remember, for all that he's an over-muscled tough guy, he started out as a journalist. But actually seeing him apply for that job and then retaining his sense of professional ethics was a fantastic character moment. I loved that moment. And I have to talk about the teaser. Venom and Kraven the Hunter have never actually met face-to-face yet. I can't wait for this. I just cannot wait for this. Out of all the books that I'm reviewing this time around, the 5-star books are the best. They may not be perfect, but they are pretty damn close. Batman, the Dark Prince Charming #1. I know I don't get to review a lot of Batman titles, but I'm still a longtime fan, and for a while now, this is the sort of Batman book I've been waiting for. It's proof of my opinion that Batman does best when he operates outside the context of the Justice League. I mean, this book is a noir mystery set firmly in Gotham City. It's an amazingly rare circumstance. It actually focuses almost as much time on Bruce Wayne as it does on Batman. The writing is stellar. It's absolutely stellar. It's got setups that lead to a well-established familiarity in the story, but it all feels new. The dialogue is impressive. The art is sleek. It fits the mood of the book perfectly. It feels iconic. The colors are exquisite. The entire package is, it may well be the best book I've read this week. Black Lightning, Cold Dead Hands #1. For the first time in 20 years, Tony Isabella has come back to write The Adventures of Black Lightning. Cold Dead Hands is supposed to be a 6-issue run, but if this first issue is anything to go by, this deserves to be an ongoing series. There has been some major changes to Black Lightning, yeah, sure. He's in Cleveland, Ohio instead of Metropolis, for one. He's younger. He has some powers he didn't have before. But they all make sense. All these changes make sense. So, it's not too bad that they changed it. Most importantly, Tobias Whale, who has always been the Lex Luthor to Black Lightning Superman, he's got a serious makeover, both physically and mentally. In this book, he's much more of a psychotic and dangerous madman. This issue is a perfect jumping-on point for anybody new to the character. It also does a great job as an homage to his past history. And he's one of the most groundbreaking and important black characters in the history of comics, so if you don't know anything about him, this is a good place to start. Deadman #1. Neil Adams has lost absolutely none of his badass style and talent. He still brings an incredible sense of drama and excitement to his storytelling, and this issue is just proof of that. It is absolutely fantastic. It reads a bit like one of his issues from the 70s. There's a lot going on in this issue, and it's a good thing. The story is really dense and really complex and really fun. He's able to recreate the entire vibe of some of his old stories, and that's just cool. Because, let's face it, there is no denying that storytelling back in the 70s was utterly different than storytelling now. It's just changed over the past 4 decades. But the thing is, it's just as true that what was great then is still great now. If there can be said to be any negative side to this issue, it's that younger readers might not find this issue as amazing as I do because it's different from what they expect. And really, that's not much of a problem at all. At least not to older readers like myself. Deathstroke #25. This issue's most prevalent theme is the reality of evil and whether Deathstroke actually qualifies anymore. It's a deeply philosophical question, and the arguments made in this issue are thought-provoking, much more so than you usually get in a comic book. The characterizations in this issue are just top-notch. I mean, from the fact that the Riddler is the smartest man in whatever room he's in. Raptor's absolute aloof disinterest in everything. Vandal Savage's arrogant attitude. He's the best at everything, despite the fact that he's not the smartest. And, but he knows that he's the best because he's been around forever. It's just beautiful characterization. And every single character has the right personality in this book. Every one, even when their role is minimal. And combined with an absolutely wonderful story, it's fantastic. Top it off with the art. It's amazing. Carlo, how do you pronounce his last name? Pagulayan? Carlo Pagulayan, maybe? Anyway, it's amazing art. So this is just a fantastic issue. The Jetsons #1. When I was growing up, the Jetsons cartoon was a staple of my cartoon watching career as a kid, which means I had high expectations for this title going in. On top of it all, I've got a natural skepticism when it comes to adaptations that try to alter the basic nature of something I love and turn it into something else. In this case, this new comic book version of the Jetsons aims to be a science fiction drama rather than a comedy. I'm not against this per se, but I did have my doubts. I'm glad to say that I shouldn't have worried. Sure, some of these characters have changed. Jane Jetson is now a NASA scientist instead of being a homemaker, for example. And Rosie the robot is now George's mother, who's been digitized into a robot body. But they didn't take away my enjoyment of the series. I definitely recommend this to anybody. If you're a fan of the Jetsons, if you're a fan of science fiction in general, if you're a fan of science fiction comics in general, this one's for you. Go out and get it. It's a good one, guys. Supergirl number 14. 3 pages into this issue, I was completely invested. I loved the appearance of Superman. I loved the appearance of Crypto. I even enjoyed the team up with the Chinese Superman. What I loved about this issue the most was the contrast between the characters. They're all very similar, and yet they're also very, very different also. The Chinese Superman has similar abilities to Clark and Kara, but the way they were brought up and how they were trained to use them was so different that when they work together, it shows. You can tell that these are not just clones of one another. They're individual characters, and that's just a great thing. Artistically, I have to hand it to Jose Luis's art. Not just the action, but the personal interaction. He doesn't recycle faces. The depiction of each individual was unique, and that was great. That was absolutely fantastic. This one's a good read, folks. It just is. And now for the roundup and the final scores. DC Comics had no 1-star books, 1 2-star book, 1 3-star book, 1 4-star book, and 6 5-star books. Granting 1 point per star gives DC Comics a total score of 39 points. I reviewed 9 titles from DC, which makes their points per issue score 4.33 points. Marvel Comics had no 1-star books, no 2-star books, 4 3-star books, 5 4-star books, and no 5-star books. At 1 point per star, Marvel's final score is 32 points. Marvel also had 9 issues this time, making their points per issue 3.56. So after a 2-week triumphant rebound from Marvel, DC's back on top. Congratulations, DC Comics. So there you have it, folks. My picks for the best and worst from DC and Marvel this time around. But what did you think? I mean, these were just my opinions. I'm sure some of you guys are disagreeing with me. I'm sure some of you guys are agreeing with me. Tell me about it in the comments below. Let me know why you think you think that you do. If you disagree with me, tell me why. If you agree with me, tell me why. We can strike up a conversation about it. It'll be fun. You know, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. You know, if you want to help us keep this thing rolling, we've got a Patreon page, a VIDME page linked below. You know, hop on over, drop $1 in the till. We always appreciate it. I want to apologize to all the listeners, by the way. Since I started editing together this video, you know, since I started recording and editing it, my throat's been getting scratchier and scratchier, and my nose has gotten clogged up. And according to the thermometer, I am now officially running a fever. It seems quite literally, since I began creating this video, I've caught a cold. And I can feel it affecting my voice. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but if it did affect the quality of the recording, I apologize. I tried to use the best takes. Anyway, that's beside the point. I've got another review video coming up. It's just a little catch-up video, so I can get, you know, so I can honestly say, hey, no, the comics that I'm going to be reviewing are all the most recent ones, and I don't have a backlog on it. Watch for that video. Watch for Englentine's review videos. He puts a lot of work into those. You know, we've got more History of Comics videos coming up. We've got top 10 lists coming up. We do live streams all the time. Trust us, we got some great stuff. You know, keep coming back, keep listening to our stuff. We really enjoy it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very, very much for watching.